There are psychology facts so disturbing that once you hear them, you will question every relationship, every decision, and every person you have ever trusted. These are not theories. These are proven experiments where real people did terrifying things, and the worst part is, you would have done the same. Here are psychology facts so dark, they should be illegal to know. Fact number 1. You would torture a stranger if someone in a lab coat told you to. In 1961, psychologist Stanley Milgram at Yale University wanted to understand how ordinary Germans participated in the Holocaust. So he designed an experiment that changed psychology forever. Participants were told they were helping with a learning study. They sat in front of a machine with a dial that delivered electric shocks to a person in the next room. Every time that person answered a question wrong, the participant was told to increase the voltage. The shocks started at 15 volts and went all the way up to 450 volts, which was labeled as deadly. The person in the next room was an actor. No real shocks were given. But the participants did not know that. They heard screaming, begging, and eventually complete silence from the other room. Here is the result that shocked the world. 65% of participants delivered the maximum 450-volt shock. Not because they were evil, not because they were psychopaths, but because a man in a lab coat calmly said, "Please continue." 65% of normal, everyday people were willing to kill a stranger because an authority figure told them to. And before you say you would never do that, Milgram repeated this experiment dozens of times across different countries and cultures. The result was always the same. You think you are in control of your own morality. You are not. Authority is. Fact number 2. The more people who see you dying, the less likely anyone will help you. In 1964, a woman named Kitty Genovese was attacked outside her apartment in New York City. Reports say that 38 neighbors watched or heard the attack from their windows. Not one person called the police. Psychologists John Darley and Bibb Latane wanted to understand why. So they ran an experiment. They put participants in a room and pumped smoke under the door. When participants were alone, 75% reported the smoke immediately. But when they were in a room with 2 other people who ignored the smoke, only 10% reported it. This is the bystander effect. When other people are present, your brain assumes someone else will take responsibility. So nobody does. Here is what makes this terrifying. It means that you are statistically safer having a heart attack in front of one stranger than in front of 100. The bigger the crowd, the more invisible you become. And the darkest part is that every single person in that crowd believes they are a good person who would help. They just assume someone else will do it first. Fact number 3. Attractive people get away with almost everything, and your brain is programmed to let them. This is called the halo effect, and it was first described by psychologist Edward Thorndike in 1920. When we see someone who is physically attractive, our brain automatically assumes they are also smarter, kinder, more trustworthy, and more competent, without any evidence. A study from the University of Minnesota had participants look at photos of attractive and unattractive people and rate their personality traits. Attractive people were rated as more successful, more honest, and happier, all based on nothing but a photograph. But it gets darker. Research published in Cornell Law Review found that attractive defendants in criminal trials receive lighter sentences than unattractive defendants for the exact same crime. Juries literally let attractive people get away with more. Your brain sees a beautiful face and turns off its critical thinking. And you will never catch yourself doing it because it happens completely below your conscious awareness. Every person you have ever trusted instantly was not necessarily trustworthy. They might have just been attractive. Fact number 4. You can psychologically break a person so completely that they stop trying to escape even when the door is wide open. In 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman conducted an experiment with 2 groups of dogs. The first group received electric shocks but could stop them by pressing a lever. The second group received the same shocks, but the lever did nothing. They had no control. Later, both groups were placed in a box where they could easily jump over a low wall to escape the shocks. The first group jumped immediately, but the second group, the ones who had learned that nothing they did mattered, just lay down and accepted the pain. The exit was right there. They could see it, but they did not even try. Seligman called this learned helplessness, and it does not just apply to animals. It explains why people stay in abusive relationships, why employees endure toxic bosses for years, why some people stop applying for jobs after repeated rejection. Their brain has learned one devastating lesson. Nothing I do will change anything. So they stop trying. Not because they are weak, but because their psychology has been systematically broken. And the most disturbing part is that the people who broke them often did it so gradually that the victim never realized it was happening. Fact number 5. You think most people agree with you. They do not. This is called the false consensus effect, discovered by Lee Ross at Stanford University in 1977. Your brain automatically assumes that the majority of people share your opinions, your beliefs, and your values. And it is almost always wrong. Ross conducted a simple experiment. He asked students whether they would walk around campus wearing a sandwich board sign. Then he asked them to estimate how many other students would agree to do the same thing. Those who said yes believed that 62% of others would also say yes. Those who said no believed that 67% of others would also say no. Both groups were convinced the majority agreed with them. Both were wrong. This is why political arguments feel so frustrating. This is why you are genuinely shocked when someone disagrees with your obvious opinion. Your brain creates a false reality where your worldview is the default, and anyone who thinks differently is the exception. You are not seeing the world as it is. You are seeing a world your brain invented to make you feel normal. Fact number 6. Your brain is obsessed with things that are unfinished, and it will torture you until you complete them. In the 1920s, psychologist Bluma Zygarnik noticed something strange in a restaurant. Waiters could perfectly remember orders that were still being prepared, but the moment the food was delivered, they forgot everything. The unfinished task stayed in memory. The completed task was erased. She tested this in her lab and confirmed it. People remember interrupted tasks 90% better than completed ones. Your brain treats an unfinished task like an open browser tab. It keeps running in the background, using mental energy, creating anxiety, and demanding your attention until you close it. This is why you cannot stop thinking about a text you have not replied to. Why that unfinished project haunts you at 3 a.m. Why a TV show cliffhanger drives you crazy. But here is the dark application. Manipulators use this instinctively. They start conversations and never finish them. They give you half answers. They leave things ambiguous on purpose. Because they know that as long as something is unresolved, you cannot stop thinking about them. That person who keeps you guessing is not being mysterious. They are exploiting the Zygarnik effect whether they know it or not. Fact number 7, and this might be the most unsettling fact on this list. The most charming person in the room is often the most dangerous. Psychologists Delroy Paulhus and Kevin Williams identified 3 personality traits that together form what they call the dark triad. Narcissism, the need for admiration and the belief that you are superior. Machiavellianism, the willingness to manipulate and deceive others for personal gain. And psychopathy, a lack of empathy combined with impulsive and antisocial behavior. Here is what makes the dark triad so dangerous. People who score high on all 3 traits are not socially awkward outcasts. Research published in Personality and Individual Differences found that dark triad individuals are rated as more attractive and more charismatic at first meeting than average people. They are the ones who walk into a room and instantly command attention. They are funny, confident, and make you feel like the most important person alive. That is not genuine connection. That is a psychological strategy. Studies show that dark triad individuals are overrepresented in leadership positions, in corporate environments, and in romantic contexts where they cycle through partners rapidly. The person who makes you feel special the fastest is often the person who will discard you the fastest. Charm is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a weapon. These are not fun facts for a dinner party. These are the operating instructions for the human mind. And the more you understand them, the harder it becomes for anyone to use them against you. Which fact disturbed you the most? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to keep learning what your brain is hiding from you, subscribe to Sci Factor X. I will see you in the next one.